Today, we're going to take a look at one of the most surprising Irish whiskeys that I've had in a long time. Bua, 7-year single malt finished in white Moscatel. Welcome to 4 Leaf Whiskey. I got the lights up, which means it's almost St. Patrick's Day. So I wanted to review a whiskey that I had the opportunity to try a few weeks ago at an event in Ohio and really blew me away. And that is Bua, 7-year single malt finished in white Moscatel casks. Now, for those of you who don't know the story of Bua, it's a smaller Irish whiskey brand. It actually is made up of Martin Kennedy, who used to be at Tullamore Dew, and Pat Byrne, who owns Byrne's Pub, Irish Pub here in Columbus, Ohio. So they're sitting around and they decided they're going to create an Irish whiskey brand. They launched their first release, which is a Bua blended whiskey. It's the one in the light blue bottle here. Released that at the probably worst absolute time you could release an Irish whiskey to the market, which was March of 2020. So 4 years later, and they're releasing 3 new expressions barreled exclusively for OHLQ here in Ohio. This one really was one of my top picks of everything I tried of the new whiskeys in Ohio. I couldn't narrow it down to a single pick, but this is one of my top 3. And this is their 7-year single malt Moscatel, white Moscatel cask finish. So this one is matured for 3 years in an ex-bourbon cask, matured another 4 years in a white Moscatel cask. What is white Moscatel? White Moscatel itself is not used a whole lot in Irish whiskey. There are a couple others. It is a fortified wine, pretty common in Portugal and Spain. It's in the same family that produces like a Muscat wine, a Moscato wine. So it's a little sweeter, a little floral. This one is bottled at 58% ABV. This is natural color. This is non-chill filtered, which I really appreciate. You don't need to add color to Irish whiskey, guys. And unfortunately, it is permitted. Really pretty light orange color. On the nose, I got honey. A little bit of almost like a milk chocolate. There's definitely some floral. You do get some flowers coming off on the nose. There's a little citrus. The citrus is really starting to come out the more I get some air into this. And I haven't had this bottle open for very long. But yeah, it's a little bit of almost like a hazelnut coming through as well in this. All right, sláinte. I'm getting a really nice spice that I actually did not get on the nose. It's got a spicy nutmeg or a spicy clove. Well, it's more leaning towards nutmeg. But I am getting in front palate, you're going to hit with that vanilla, that sweetness, floral, almost like a rose water. Citrus notes, vanilla, honey, that hazelnut hits. That spice actually is more mid palate, long finish on this. And I love the notes that finish are actually those citrus vanilla notes. So it's funny, I kind of, on the visual, it kind of does look like orange sherbet because that actually is the note I'm getting that's finishing. It's kind of an orange vanilla. Really good length of finish. I'm actually really surprised for a 7-year single malt. It's got a long finish on this one. So let's see if I have another Moscatel finish that we can compare this to. Okay, so I actually did have 2 other Moscatel finished Irish whiskeys. The other that I do have is the Liberator Malt Moscatel. It's one of my absolute favorites. But that one isn't as familiar. I wanted to pick something that might be a little more familiar as a basis for comparison. So I went with Turconnell 16-year Oloroso and Moscatel. Now, this one is going to be, this isn't really apples to apples because this is a 16-year Oloroso and Moscatel finish. It's 46% ABV. This is coolly sourced malt. Whereas the Bua is a 7-year G&D malt. So they're not going to be exact. Also, this is just Moscatel. This is Moscatel and Oloroso. But I just wanted to at least give you a basis of comparison here. So I will say the color is pretty similar. Let me add more Bua. You can always add more Bua. It's always a good idea. Now, the Bua is a little more of kind of a light orange where the Turconnell is more of a dark gold. So the Oloroso is coming through, unfortunately, a lot more on the Tyrconnell, which I really do like this whiskey. The Bua has more of that malty, kind of honey vanilla coming through. And that citrus on the nose. The Tyrconnell, I'm actually getting a little more floral, but I'm also getting kind of an orchard fruit and nutty notes. It comes off a lot sweeter. So on the Tyrconnell, more orchard fruits. The floral notes are coming through from the Moscatel. Not as much vanilla on this one. I kind of wonder how much of the maturation actually did happen in the Oloroso cask. That might be why I'm not getting as much vanilla as I am on the Bua. But a little more floral. It is actually sweeter. I do think it is sweeter. And it's more lighter. I mean, it is a different ABV, but it is more lighter. You're going more into those apples and orchard notes. Whereas the Bua definitely is going in a more citrus direction. The Bua, more of the nutty notes. It's like a hazelnut, citrus, vanilla. And now I'm going back to it. I'm starting to almost get like a chocolate. Like a dark chocolate, a little bit of, well, not really like super dark chocolate, but definitely not milk chocolate. All right, so Bua, 7-year single malt, white Moscatel finish, Irish whiskey. I personally do know Pat Byrne and Martin Kennedy. I've always been rooting for them on their whiskey brand. They did release a whiskey at the worst time you could. They're also, I love their story on the label of the tortoise and the hare, because that literally is what they were up against when they released their whiskey here in Ohio at the time. They're going up against Teeling and Irish Distillers and Bushmills. They're going up against the giants. And I love that they're giving us even more good whiskey. This one is one of the most unique finishes that I have. And you guys know I have a lot of Irish whiskey. I love the notes you get on this one. I love the complexity. I love the length of finish on this. I'd have to really probably sit down and think of another whiskey I have at this price point with this length of finish. It's a nice, rich whiskey. It's a great one just to sit after dinner, have it with dessert, have it with a cigar. This is one of my favorites. Like I said, out of the new releases for Ohio, this is in my top 3. I think it is a great whiskey. I look forward to what comes next from Bua Irish Whiskey. So please like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know if you have had anything from Bua Irish Whiskey. Sláinte and happy St. Patrick's Day.